Top 10 Oats Studios Horror and Other Shorts Explained. Oats Studios is a production house started by Neill Blomkamp, a South African-Canadian film director, producer, screenwriter, and animator. Blomkamp is best known for co-writing and directing the critically acclaimed Oscar-nominated science fiction action film District 9. There is no doubt that Blomkamp's work is unparalleled in terms of quality of plot, computer-generated effects, and commentary upon society. However, he was probably a little too much of a risk-taker for big production houses. So, Blomkamp started his own production house called Oats Studios, where he made prototypes of film ideas and put them up on YouTube. If the project gained enough traction, he would then go on to make a feature film out of it. Oats Studios has given us short film gems like the dystopian Raqqa, Zygote, and Firebase, and satirical social commentary in the form of God, Bad President, and Cooking with Bill. Throughout his productions, you can see special effects that are innovative, intricate, and hyper-realistic. We've compiled a list of some of Oats Studios' best productions with a deeper look at the plot and message they're trying to convey. Let's begin, shall we? Number 1, Rakka. Raqqa was the first Oats Studios experiment. This 22-minute short tells the story of an alien invasion that has ravaged the Earth and mankind. Part 1, World. The film opens in Texas in the year 2020. A woman narrates the ordeals humanity has had to suffer after having been reduced to pests as the result of an alien invasion. We get our first glimpse of the alien called Clum, which are lizard-like reptiles that have the ability to control humans through telepathy. Their sole aim seems to be to destroy humanity and its culture. We see a shot of the Eiffel Tower covered in human skin and flesh. These aliens have destroyed our structures and put up their own that spew methane. They've burned our forests, which has increased global temperatures and put entire cities underwater. Humans themselves are either being used as slaves or breeding grounds or for grotesque experimentation. What has survived through all this is a small, feeble, resistant force. They've created brain barriers that can protect their minds from being invaded by the aliens, but there aren't enough of these. This rebelling population lives in underground bunkers with barely enough resources to get by. Even though rational thought says they are doomed, a primitive urge keeps them fighting. We witness them achieve a small victory as they blow up an experimented upon world leader walking the streets urging them to drop their weapons and join the Clum. However, they're aware that retaliation will follow. A convoy is attacked, and one survivor sees biblical salvation in an angelic figure in the clouds. According to the director Blomkamp, this vision is the reason why the Clum attacked in the first place. It is a far more superior race of non-physical aliens. The Clums are not entirely sentient, suggesting the existence of a more intelligent species, not shown in the short film. He also suggests that there is something that is lacking in the Clum and they've invaded Earth to seek these answers. What they're really looking for is a way to communicate with this higher species that has forsaken them. Part 2, Amir and Nosh. Part 2 highlights the differences between the old world and this apocalyptic world. We're introduced to Nosh, a pyromaniac bomb maker who is thriving in this new lawless world. He would have been jailed in the old world, but now he plays a key role in the resistance against the aliens. He can create just about anything with scavenged junk. The resistant leader learns of his special weapon and is only allowed access to it after she promises a couple of her sick people as bait to him. During peacetime, such an offer would have been ridiculous, but now it's their only option for survival. Next, we're introduced to Amir, a man that had been captured by the Clum and presumed dead. He now has strange deformities on his head due to the experiments performed on him. A woman named Sarah unlocks him and gives him food in exchange for a favor. As she takes off the cloth covering his head, we get a good look at his head. The cranium is black and bumpy with a moving mass that seems to be oozing out. Sarah believes that Amir is reborn through the pain with something special about him. Part 3, Siege. In the last part of the film, we see Sarah trying to get something out of Amir, who seems to have somewhat recovered. While others can't understand why she's obsessed with him, she persists, even though Amir offers no response. The leading lady of the resistance knows the potential of using him effectively. They speculate that he can foresee the future. Slowly, we see Amir's eyes becoming white as Sarah continues to ask him for help. He sees visions of the militia successfully taking down one of the alien aircrafts and cornering a wounded alien. As the soldiers pursue him, one of them loses their brain barrier and is taken control of by the alien. The team is forced to kill their compromised teammate and the alien. The film ends with Sarah telling Amir he is their last hope as his eyes turn completely white. Number 2, Firebase. Before we go forward, please subscribe to us. Your small click will help us in a big way to create more videos. Let's continue. Firebase is a Vietnam War tale about how one man is chosen to fight an entity called the River God. The film begins with a US soldier garroted against a wooden pole, body decomposing, and skin rotting. We see archive footage shot during the Vietnam War in 1969, including shots of a napalm airstrike on the dense jungles. A group of patrolling soldiers comes across charred remains of Viet Cong soldiers, but their remains were weird with sharp fangs protruding from the upper jaw and human teeth missing. Their skin seemed thicker and denser. We see shots of scores of dead bodies levitating and revolving in concentric circles. This event claimed 15,212 lives and 2,025 vehicles. This was dubbed the Omega event by the CIA, and investigations began. Then we witness a Vietnamese woman describing how a man had gone into the fields and started praying, causing the Omega event to happen. Right after this archive footage, we come across our protagonist, Sergeant Hines, on some kind of combing mission by the US military to eliminate Viet Cong guerrillas. While everyone else is prepared with heavy artillery, Hines is seen sharpening his pointy wooden spear. While on the mission, he hears a sharp monotone and spots an underground bunker. As soon as he jumps into the bunker, a fellow American soldier shows up as if in a trance. Hines drives his spear into the soldier's body twice to no avail. Finally, he pushes the soldier to a corner and throws a stun grenade at him. What comes out of the corner is an eyeless humanoid creature with its skin shedding off. Hines empties a barrage of bullets into the creature, thus effectively killing it. In the next scene, CIA agent Jacob Palmers escorts Sergeant Hines on a chopper to go see Bracken, the only speaking survivor of the River God. Here, he tells Hines the story of how a Vietnamese farmer became the River God after losing his wife and kids to the war. At Firebase Tar Heel, Major Brickerson questions Palmer about the strange creature in the forest. During an attack on the zombified soldiers, Brickerson's troop had to retreat to Firebase Tar Heel to wait for reinforcements and a napalm strike. During the napalm fire, Brickerson saw the silhouette of the River God only because the burning napalm was sticking to his invisible body. A severely burned Corporal Bracken regales the story of how he got burned during an attack on the Viet Cong soldiers. As his fellow soldiers died left and right, he watched horror-struck as chunks of flesh flew to the River God's skeleton and formed a gruesome bloody pink skinless body with numerous bony spikes protruding from his back. 1 minute Bracken was staring at the River God, and the next he was at the Charleston Air Base on the day of his deployment. This proves that the River God could alter time and space. At Charleston, a modified Russian aircraft burned Bracken and the other soldiers. A burning Bracken was then transported back to the forest as he ran to the swamp to put off the fire consuming his body. On the other side of the river, he saw the reanimated corpses of his unit. All soldiers at Tar Heel were listed as missing in action, and Firebase Tar Heel was removed from the military database. Hines and Palmer discuss his visions and how Hines seems to be protected by some divine power. He is handed a specially made prototype suit called the Relativity Capsule that shields the wearer from electromagnetic waves by creating a magnetosphere. This would allow Hines's reality to remain unbroken by the River God. He is also provided with an electromagnetic coil gun that fires at about 1/20th the speed of light. Armed with his shield and special weapon, Hines heads for the chopper to complete his mission and kill the River God. The River God. The river god's origin story is equal parts tragic and intriguing. A farmer who lost his family to a war he never asked for got consumed by his grief and anger to the extent that he underwent a physical and mental transformation. Sounds like a sympathetic villain in the making. He was able to use so much of his brain capacity that he was able to make himself invisible, warp the reality around him, and teleport people through space and time. Director Blomkamp's idea behind the river god is that he is an anomaly of the universe. He was an error and Heinz was the correcting agent sent in to rectify the situation and bring back balance to the universe. River God's anger has taken over his entire being and the acts he commits are rooted in his subconscious instincts as a natural predator as his conscious self takes a back seat. Number 3. Zygote. The short film begins with two people in a rundown facility of some sort. The man, Quinn, has a bandage around his eyes due to some kind of injury, and the girl, Barkley, gets him food and water. Through their conversation, we learn that Barkley is a synthetic, created to carry out deep mining operations that are too dangerous for regular humans. At one point during their conversation, she states that she is a Canary-class miner and was born to die. Quinn is one of the security guards at the mining facility, and these two together form the only two survivors of a monstrous creature that has killed the rest of the workers at this mining facility. Quinn, however, is suffering after he witnessed the light from the asteroid that drove his friend Holbrook to cut up a bunch of pigs and sheep and string their organs together. He repeated the same process with the miners, thus giving rise to the monster roaming the facility. Quinn reveals that he cut his eyes out after being exposed to the light from the asteroid. But he was too late as the light had started affecting him. Quinn teaches Barkley how to use his gun and together they make their escape to the second facility where exists a heavily armored corporate vault with a kitchen full of food and other supplies. They would wait there until help arrived. They make it through the snowing outdoors but are followed by the creature as they enter the second facility. Here, we catch our first glimpse of the monster dubbed Zygote. This hulking monster has created itself by assimilating the bodies of the 98 crew members it has killed. With 392 limbs and 98 pairs of eyes, this grotesque monster is unique as it assimilates with its prey and gains their knowledge, thus becoming more powerful with each kill. Standing at 9 feet tall, the Zygote is strong, heavy, and also slow in movement. Barkley empties 2 entire magazines into the monster and the two run off to a large kitchen. Here, Barkley offers to sacrifice herself as the creature is known to reject synthetics. Quinn reveals to Barkley that she isn't a synthetic, stating with disdain that synthetics are more expensive than orphans. The company had bought Barkley when she was 2 weeks old and brainwashed her into believing that she was a synthetic. The light is getting to him and affecting his mental state negatively. So, he cuts off his finger and instructs Barkley to run to the vault and use his fingerprint to get inside. He warns her that once the creature assimilates him with itself, it will have access to all the knowledge he has. The monster kills Quinn and chases after Barkley, who, after a terrifying game of hide and seek, reaches the vault. However, Quinn's fingerprint doesn't work as he did not have access to the vault. As the monster approaches her, Barkley empties the remaining bullets in Quinn's handgun into it. Once the monster is down, she chops off one of its arms and tests out each hand at the biometric reader. Once granted access, she enters the vault as the Zygote groans in pain trying to get to her. The vault door shuts and we see a shaken Barkley finally realize the weight of what has happened and what has been revealed to her about her own identity. Number 4. God. The God series tries to answer the question, what would the God of a world as chaotic as ours look like? And the answer is equal parts funny and horrifying. Serengeti. God is reading a boring and methodical book as he sits in a room with a miniature of Serengeti during the times of cavemen. He comments on a man fiddling with a stick as acting funny. Once the man is able to light a fire, God's response to the happy incident is to exclaim that he hasn't yet said that the man could do that. This is 200,000 years before man should be given fire. Upon God's orders, Jeffrey snuffs out the fire. He then orders Jeffrey to herd them back into the caves using elephants. Sometime later, the cavemen dance around in a circle, praying for rain. Amused, God decides to end the drought and makes fun of them as they enjoy the rain. Once he has had his fill of their antics though, he asks Jeffrey to release the plague and goes back to reading his book as they all die from it. Number 5. Cooking with Bill. Cooking with Bill is a compilation of 4 short films, poking fun at the telemarketing commercials for the most absurd innovative products designed to make life easier. The show features co-host Karen and Bill. While Karen is a presenter, Bill is supposed to be the credible chef speaking in favor of the product, demonstrating how it is used, and tasting the final product. Number 1. Damasu. Damasu is a faster alternative to regular, slow, and boring knives. Resembling a chainsaw with extra knives on both sides that move omnidirectionally, this appliance is clearly an accident waiting to happen. First, Bill uses it on a block of cheese which only manages to completely butcher it. Disaster strikes when he tries to cut up a turkey with it. He fires up the Damasu and tries to stabilize the turkey with his left hand. The Damasu cuts into his hand, leaving it mangled and bloody. The film cuts to a shot of the Damasu with a limited offer sign as a shocked Karen tries to help Bill with his bloody hand. Number 2. Pre-Stuvig. The next home appliance on the show is Pre-Stuvig, a machine that helps cook difficult-to-manage vegetables easily. Americans are known for their aversion to vegetables, and this appliance does all the work for them to make yummy dishes out of bland vegetables. All one needs to do is drop all their vegetables in the machine with some water and Pre-Stuvig will figure out an appropriate dish, and to top it off, it will prepare the dish as well. Sounds impossible, right? That's because it is impossible. Upon demonstration, the machine's output is raw rotting and fly-infested meat instead of the zucchini patties it was supposed to make. The hosts can only look around flustered as the Pre-Stuvig presents such awful food. Number 3. MagiBlend 200. MagiBlend 200 is an improvement on the MagiBlend 100. You can put raw ingredients into the MagiBlend and it will use a thermocapacitor to cook it any way you want. Over 2 episodes, Bill tries making a smoothie and sushi with the MagiBlend. Both times there are chunks of hair in the food. As the audience gasps at the result, Bill tries to brave through chewing and swallowing these hairy meals. Number 6. Bad President. Bad President is a spoof about the shenanigans the president can get up to without the world having much of an idea. It highlights how incompetent a president has the ability to be because, in reality, it is his staff that needs to be competent. Even then, our bad president manages to take the trophy for the worst president. Number 1. Oil Spill. In the oil spill short, the president is seen addressing the nation regarding an oil spill near Alaska. While the brief is for him to make people believe it's not a hopeless situation, he does the exact opposite and even swears on camera. To add to it, a scantily clad woman enters the frame behind him during the recording. At this point, one of his staff members, Mary, asks to cut the tape. She whispers to the other staff member, "Thank God this is pre-recorded." As they explain everything he did wrong to the president, he retorts that the president is supposed to have fun, not give budget talks and do climate things. He then proceeds to ask about his new house for which he wants to purchase Central Park and a private plane with a dinosaur, slip and slide, a pitch and putt, and missiles. Mary has to cut him short as he lists these absurd demands and asks to go for another take. As the president puts on his sunglasses, we get a sense of doom for this presidency and the staff that has to deal with this idiotic president. Number 2. All My Shit. The president wakes up hungover in his trashed Oval Office. There are several bottles of beer lying around suggesting that he had partied hard the previous night. The president wakes up his unkempt pot-bellied friend Douglas asking him to leave because he had meetings. Mary knocks and enters to inform him about the meeting with Chief of Staff Bill Haley as Douglas leaves. You can clearly see the discomfort in Mary's eyes as she sits in the trashed office. As Bill enters and tries to speak with the president about the important enrichment program in Iran, the president feels around in his pants, realizing that he doesn't have his wallet on him. He then proceeds to call the Secret Service and whispers in the agent's ear that he suspects one of the girls from the previous night took his wallet and that he has all his shit in it. As the agent promises to deal with it, the president returns to his seat to speak with Bill in a still trashed Oval Office. Number 7, Adam, Episode 2. In a barren, ravaged, and burning desert, a group of robot-like figures marches onwards. One of them is visibly struggling and soon enough falls to the ground. The leader, dressed in a black cloak, steps back to help, but it's too late and the robot dies. Once they reach a makeshift facility, the cloaked figure, Adam, reveals to them that they're all traptions of their former human selves in robotic bodies. They were all citizens of the walled city of the consortium. They were cut away from their bodies, which were harvested for the other citizens, and their memories were wiped. Nobody knows why they're kept alive in these android bodies. Adam unlocked them and saved them from wandering around aimlessly and dying once their batteries failed. Then, Adam introduces the mirror, a woman who can read the traces of their mind. She can detect their history and their crimes. As she reads the first traption's memories, she reveals that he committed treason and terrorism against the consortium. Adam becomes intrigued by this traption as she further reveals that he is a political dissident and had a hand in the terrorist attack on the walled city of Tacoma. Number 8, Adam, Episode 3. This episode follows Marion, a woman who has defected from the consortium after her brother was convicted of theft. She stands at the gates of a small establishment as the prophet approaches her. She seems sickly and wears a mask to help her breathe. The prophet, however, can breathe the natural air freely. He assures her that she made the right choice in coming to him and informs her that he was awaiting her arrival. Several people in her tenement had become sick due to a ventilation problem, and her brother Jacob was arrested for stealing medication for them. The prophet reveals that he has formed a brotherhood where they expel technology and have perfected the ancient ways. He walks her to a traption hanging by his hands, and promises to help her if she renounces the ways of the consortium. She promises her allegiance to him, but the prophet believes in actions, not words. The hung traption is revealed to be Marion's brother Jacob. A distraught Marion kills her brother with a huge stone. The prophet takes off her mask and treats her sickness with a single touch. As he goes into an underground lair, his skin peels off and he is revealed to be an advanced high-performing traption himself. Number 9, Gdansk. In this animated short, a man stares in the distance as an army approaches on horseback. His wife cowers near their house with her baby. The commander sends forth a tall giant stricken with arrows but still walking. The man grabs his axe and readies himself for the attack. The giant just picks him up and squeezes the blood out of him till he dies. He then approaches the terrified woman and the crying baby. Pretoria. In another world, a heavily armored man holds onto his sword as he hears the voice of a woman calling him a butcher and monster. He keeps hearing the woman's voice as she tells him she knows who he is and where he's from. As he walks up to a glass wall, he is reminded of how she said he will never be forgiven for his cruelty. He removes his helmet to reveal a face contorted in remorse. Weird machinery is wired through his skull. Another man steps in, informing him that they had found more gold. The man tells him to take it, take everything with steely resolve as he walks back out. Number 10, Oats Studios Capture. This animated series follows two egomaniac men, Gary and Jeff, who create weapons for the Department of Defense. The Defense Department lets them loan out some prisoners to test their inventions on. In return, these prisoners are either offered a reduced term or their term is completely waived off. However, everyone apart from these prisoner test subjects is aware that they will not come out of this experiment alive. Capture. Gary and Jeff have created a self-contained enemy combatant capture and repurpose system called Fluke. Here's how it works. You shoot the transmitter into your target using any shotgun. And then, you have full cerebral control of the enemy soldier using the portable base station. They test it out on a prisoner called Mike who believes he will be safe during this exercise. Once shot with the transmitter, he looks and acts more like a zombie than a living, breathing human. Gary and Jeff take control of his movements, make him walk to the mock enemy hut, and detonate the transmitter still in his leg. As Mike's blood splatters across the glass shield, the two laugh in glee at a successful weapons demo. That's all for this video. If you found these titles intriguing, you can watch them on Netflix in the series titled Oats Studios. If you would like to check out more films by Oats Studios, check out their YouTube channel. Do stick around for more exciting content. Stay safe and have a good one.